This is Inside Shale, a feature of the West Virginia Oil and Natural Gas Association. We cover the latest news and information from the industry that is shaping West Virginia. Natural gas is reducing emissions, lowering the cost of energy, and creating jobs. And with natural gas, America is on a path toward a better energy future. Think about it. This is Inside Shale Weekly.
Inside Shale, welcome to another edition. I'm Kyle Wiggs, your host for this program. We're going to start things off this morning by visiting with Katie Brown from energyindepth.org. A little bit later on in the program, we'll hear from West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey. Well, if you followed this story with the hashtag ExxonNew, if you're new to it, then we'll allow Katie to explain it a little bit. But groups claiming that Exxon was aware of climate change as far back as 1977. And that group, ExxonMobil, now the world's largest oil and gas company, under attack. And they've been fighting back a little bit. And Katie wrote last week at energyindepth.org a very, very in-depth piece refuting some of these claims from the attacks on Exxon. And Katie, good morning. Thanks for joining us on Inside Shale.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Where do we start here? I mean, again, go ahead.
Well, you may have noticed over the past few weeks there have been a lot of articles that have been written by major news outlets. And what these articles are showing is that these newly released emails show that activists have been coordinating very closely with the state attorneys general who are launching these investigations into ExxonMobil and into some other groups like the Competitive Enterprise Institute. It's a conservative think tank, and a few other groups as well. So what has been uncovered over the past few weeks is that there's this very clear coordination between activists, the AGs, and the people who are funding them. That's primarily a group called the Rockefellers Brothers Fund. And so it just shows that extreme level of coordination behind the scenes. You
wrote last week over the past, like you just said, over the past several weeks, well-funded, highly orchestrated hashtag ExxonNew campaign. It's been exposed in a sense that a lot of this stuff was going on behind closed doors, these groups getting together and conspiring here, and they come out and tell the New York Times that it's all been transparent. There's been nothing secretive. There's nothing behind closed doors, nothing hidden. As a matter of fact, one of the individuals was quoted, and your article last week kind of goes point by point in refuting that. Start with the agreement between the state attorneys general to try and keep all of this secret.
Well, what you said is exactly right. So now that all of this has come to light, some of these activists are now claiming, oh, nothing was hidden, this is all out in the open. Well, if nothing was hidden, then why do these emails show that the activists and the AG's office were actively trying to hide their work together? So, as you said, they wanted to draft a common interest agreement to avoid having the public find out that they were meeting behind closed doors. Not only that, but the New York Attorney General office told one of these activists, his name is Matt Powell, he's an anti-fossil fuel attorney, and a Wall Street Journal reporter asked Matt Powell if he had been at this meeting to brief the AGs before they went on stage with Al Gore to announce their investigations. And the New York Attorney General office told him not to disclose that he had been at that meeting. So if everything's out in the open, why are they trying to hide it is the question.
Okay, and this coalition, the ExxonNew coalition, also meeting behind closed doors with Rockefellers, as you mentioned, a group that's kind of funding a large portion of this, right?
Exactly. So if you look at every one of these players and every one of these groups that's behind the ExxonMobil movement, almost all of them are funded by the Rockefellers. So all of this money is being funneled into this effort by basically one group, and they're behind it all. And in January, a bunch of activists, including folks like Bill McKibben from 350.org, very prominent anti-fossil fuel activist, and some other activists met at the Rockefeller Family Foundation in New York, and their goal was to figure out how they're going to get this Exxon New campaign moving forward, and how they're going to get the AGs involved. And this is a campaign that goes back years. A lot of the same folks who are involved in this, right now, the Union of Concerned Scientists, folks like that, they had a conference way back in 2012 in order to get activists together to figure out how are they going to launch these climate investigations into energy companies and conservative organizations. So this has been in the works for years.
Yeah, and obviously to do all this, you need money, you need funding. So
exactly.
That's part of
and of course, the Rockefellers funded that meeting in 2012 as well. It was held in California, and it was Rockefeller funded as well.
All right, what does all of this mean in terms of, okay, it's come to light, it's been exposed now. Your tremendous work here, going point by point, the 10 points refuting this. What does it all mean?
Well, it just shows that they tried to hide it every step of the way, and now they're saying, oh, it was all out in the open, like there's nothing wrong here, nothing to see here. And what's interesting is not only has this been exposed, but they have received enormous criticism from editorial boards across the country. In fact, the Charleston Gazette-Mail just today, their editorial board put out an editorial saying that the AGs that are launching these investigations should probably go back and read the First Amendment again, because that might be helpful. And it's like the Financial Times said that, the legal basis for this is flimsy, that the issues for free speech are alarming. Bloomberg, USA Today, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, so many editorial boards have come out against this, and so many AGs have come out against this as well. So, including the West Virginia AG, Patrick Morrissey, who actually said on your show a few weeks ago that this is an abuse of power. Yeah, absolutely. Again, going back to that late March news conference, of course, Al Gore's been involved in this climate change issue now for decades. He claims that some of these stories, Inside Climate News, Columbia School of Journalism, that's what spurred the AG's investigations, and you've kind of refuted that as well. Well, the emails themselves have refuted that. You can see way back, there's an activist called Peter Frumhoff from the Union of Concerned Scientists, and there are emails going back to early last year when Frumhoff was saying, we are already talking to state AGs about how we can launch these investigations through the states rather than through a RICO investigation. They were already colluding with these folks well before the Inside Climate News stories and LA Times stories came out. So what Al Gore was saying is that these are the stories that launched these investigations. Well, that's not true, and the emails show that.
All right, well, very good. We'll continue to follow this, and again, you can read Katie's work at energyindepth.org, and again, very, very solid, very detailed work here. 10 things activists tried to keep hidden as part of the coordinated Exxon attacks, and again, now that this has kind of come to light, where does it go from here? Exxon's fighting back. They're taking this to court, right? Exxon is certainly, and so is the Competitive Enterprise Institute. They have been fighting this, and interestingly, the U.S. Virgin Islands AG, who also launched an investigation into Competitive Enterprise Institute, pulled back that investigation a few weeks ago.
So it's interesting to see how much opposition they have gotten from AGs across the country, from editorial boards across the country. The voices are resounding against this. So
and again, these attorney generals, it seems like all the way back to the fight against the Clean Power Plan regulation. Obviously, Patrick Morrisey at the forefront. West Virginia's name, as a matter of fact, is on that lawsuit. It just seems like they're lined up. You're on one side or the other, and the Attorney General from New York clearly on one side with West Virginia's Patrick Morrisey on the other.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Katie, we appreciate your time, and again, very good work. We appreciate your insights. Katie Brown with energyindepth.org, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you so much.
All right, Katie Brown joining us on Inside Shale. And again, coming up on the program a little bit later on, we'll hear from West Virginia's Attorney General Patrick Morrisey and talk to him a little bit, get his thoughts, kind of get the legal side